Kanye was right again. Video by Maury. Let's go ahead and check this out. Yes, we haven't spoken on this yet, but a lot of people have. Okay, and that's Northwest. Kanye's and Kim Kardashian's, or Ye, I should say, their daughter. She's been making the rounds, man. Let's go.
So Northwest shares a photo of her new piercing, and this is that piercing. Chris, once again, sound the alarm, bro, because what in the ever-living F is this?
Okay.
Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, this girl is only 12 years old.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. She does not look 12 years old.
She just turned 12 not too long ago, back in June, and she's already wilding out with this. You know, in my video about, you know, Kanye being right again, it appears as though Northwest was going through some kind of phase where she was, you know, dressing up in weird, revealing attire. She dyed her hair blue. Then recently, she started dressing up as like some kind of Cardi clone, some Lil Uzi-esque rapper emo clone, and now somehow she got a professional tattoo slash piercist to stick a steel rod through her middle finger so that it can get pierced. And in the comment section, Jane Flowers says that is the worst place to get a piercing. The hands get the dirtiest out of anybody.
Wow, you know, that's a really good point. I never even considered that when I first saw it.
Keeping it clean so she doesn't get an infection is going to be challenging for North. She could wear gloves to keep it cleaner.
Right.
And I just gotta say, valid point, valid point. Mind you though, she's only 12 years old. Why are we in this day and age allowing literal 12-year-olds to get piercings like this, bro?
Well, I mean, honestly, what's the big deal though? Just because the ears, piercing the ears, we pierce baby ears, right? You would have a little daughter, you get her some gold earrings when she's like still a fucking toddler. That's okay. We understand why it's getting so much attention because it's a bizarre place to pierce, but that alone, is this going to affect the outcomes of her life? No. So definitely the internet is doing what it does best, which is freaking out over nothing. But still, let's see where we go from here.
I mean, wasn't it just a phase? Wasn't everybody saying it's just a phase and she's just experimenting? And
yeah, it is. It is just a phase.
Kanye, you know,
she's a fucking 12-year-old. She's going through a phase, no doubt about that.
He's overreacting. Well, turns out Kanye has
literally every 12-year-old is actively going through a phase.
Proven right time and time again. And at this point, there's nothing that Kanye can say to Kim because it seems like Kim has 100% control over what Northwest wears, how she talks, how she dresses, who she hangs out with, and it almost feels as though that Kanye is powerless. And honestly, everything that I've been seeing so far has been major red flags, and it's you know, my pattern recognition radar is going off. I can already see the signs. North is well on her way to being another washed up, rich, spoiled Hollywood kid who's on drugs with possibly multiple different mental illnesses by the time she's 20.
Don't put that on her. Don't put that on her, man. I mean, fucking just look at, I still think, now maybe my perception is off here, but even now still Northwest is not as Hollywood as like Miley Cyrus was, you know, or any other Disney star growing up. I imagine she still has a lot of freedom with her time and what she chooses to do. She's not on set every day, right? Living the life of a Disney kid. And I think that makes a big difference. Sure, she's into eccentric things and she does weird shit because her parents are fucking billionaires, dude. She's a black child of two of the most famous, wealthy people in America. Yeah, she's gonna do little weird shit like this. That's fine. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Clear up whether or not Northwest's finger piercing is real or fake. It's real. This is the hand of a 12-year-old getting pierced. She came to TikTok this morning to show us not just one finger piercing.
Yeah, let's not forget in some countries, African people literally cut their skin up with razors as a form of beauty. Nobody's going to go over there and say, oh, they, you know, and so look, I understand where people are coming from. They're saying that this kind of behavior is indicative of her going down a bad path. And maybe it is. The reality is, though, most of the people criticizing this shit, commenting on this shit, they are so far removed from this kind of lifestyle and culture, how do you know? How do you know? Maybe if you were a billionaire, your kids are going to probably do some weird shit too. You know what I mean?
But two. Here's the first one. This is called a surface piercing, where it has an entry and an exit point. You saw the previous photo. That was her getting it pierced. And here's the other hand. This one's a dermal piercing. It just has one point of entry. At this point, can the Kim defenders please sit down and apologize? Because all of you in the comments of my original video were saying that I was insane and overreacting and that this was special effects makeup. Special effects makeup where? Where? This is the hand of a 12-year-old with piercings in it.
By the way, I just gotta say, there are some idiots out here who are legitimately defending this situation by saying it's not your kid. Why is this anybody's business? Well, first and foremost, Kim Kardashian and her daughter have made it their priority to become public figures. She literally put her child out there for the world to criticize. Second of all, she's
I agree 1,000%. You're entitled to your opinion, and you have free license to criticize famous people who put themselves on the internet constantly.
Child, and this stuff is posted to the internet. If you did not want the critiques, don't post it to the internet. But if somebody sees a literal 12-year-old,
I guess the point I'm making here is, so what is the argument? That girls who aren't allowed to pierce their nails or pierce their hands at the age of 12 and wear this fucking blue shit in their hair and all of that, what's the argument? Girls who are raised like that, the more traditional, normal way, they don't turn into, crazy people, right? Degenerates, promiscuous people. Not that even I'm saying that it's bad to be promiscuous. I'm just saying, like, the things that they're all projecting onto North, what's going to happen to her. Is the argument that children, you do realize that the guy who shot Charlie Kirk was raised in like a conservative Christian home, right? His entire life. You do understand that, right? He had 0 piercings, actually. Probably 0 tattoos too. Committed what is going to go down as the most famous assassination in recent American political history. We all know the stereotype of the daughter, the pastor's daughter that's giving blowjobs behind the bleachers in high school. We all know that stereotype, right? Because it's a real thing. It's an actual thing that happens. And so this might sound a bit controversial, but I am actually a firm believer in allowing people to do whatever it is they want to do, including children, and express themselves however it is they want to express themselves, so long as they're not hurting themselves, hurting other people, or neglecting obvious responsibilities. So, for instance, no, I don't think that if a kid doesn't want to go to school, you just don't let him go to school because he doesn't want to go to school. He's neglecting a responsibility. He's also hurting himself by, allowing himself to not receive a good education. So understand that once those things are in place, then I think everything else is free reign, honestly. What you resist persists anyway.
With wild ass tattoos and piercings like this, the public is going to criticize. Like, here we have this idiot in the comment section saying, so in response to the person who made this video, so she said, hey, so this isn't your child, hopes this helps. As if the public sees an uploaded video of a child being abused. Not saying Northwest is—
How is this abuse? How is this abuse? What is it? Why is this abuse, but piercing the ears of a child is not abuse? Explain that to me. Make that make sense.
Necessarily
just because it's not what you are used to, what you normally do. Come on now, this is bullshit.
Abused. But if the public, us, sees a video of a child 12 years old at that being physically or verbally assaulted, are you then going to use that?
How is this assault? She asked for this. I know she asked for this because she's a 12-year-old girl. Her mom didn't make her get it. If that's what you think happened, it's not. She asked for it. And if she already has a septum ring, right? She has her ears pierced. Most young black girls, American, they have their ears pierced. Not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. It's also not sexual. I'd understand if she got like her tongue pierced, and then that's like, okay, all right, we know what that's about, right? But this is just jewelry. This is just decoration. This is just, what I'm saying, shiny things on body look cool. That's all this is here. And so, yeah, okay, I understand you not being into it because it's not what you're used to. It's not your culture. And so you wouldn't allow your children to do it. probably for those reasons, but, you know, and also because you probably give too much of a fuck about what other people think. Not talking about Maury specifically, but just in general, the people who are outraged by this shit. That's usually most of it. What are other people going to think? I appreciate the idea that this is not in a very sanitary place. That's something to think about. But beyond that, I really don't see what the issue is here.
That same logic and say, hey, so this isn't your child. Hope this helps. Basically telling us to mind our business. Like, honestly, that's crazy. Just because Kim isn't the child of anybody else, criticizing her outside from Kanye West and Northwest does not mean that.
You gotta also understand who these people are. Like Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian and her entire family have undergone extensive major cosmetic surgery. To them, a dermal piercing in the finger is like, what is that even? That's not even anything yet. What, you haven't had your fucking chest cut open to insert breast. You haven't had your butt filled with liters of your own body fat. You haven't had your fucking face literally essentially peeled off of the fucking skull and pulled up in the form of a facelift. You think these people, you think they think a dermal piercing is anything of significance? Come on. They know her destiny. They know what's coming. They know she's gonna get a nose job. They know she's gonna get her lipo. She's gonna get fillers in her face. They know all of this is coming because this is how these people move in these circles, and they don't think it's a bad thing. They think it's normal, right? They think it's normal. They think it makes them more successful. And I mean, if we're just taking a look at the evidence, they're right. So
people aren't free to have opinions. So
if Kim Kardashian looked like the average woman her age, she wouldn't be Kim Kardashian.
Someone else said, though, Kim is scared of North. And honestly, I don't know why that would be the case. Why would you be scared of your own child? Other people are
I don't think she is.
saying, is she your child? Someone else said, why are you so obsessed with North? So I'm not entirely sure if this creator makes videos specifically about Northwest or not. First time I'm seeing her. But another comment below that said, people in the comments are insane. She's a kid. And you know, in this day and age, it just seems like the lines have been blurred so much between adulthood.
Yeah, it's a culture difference. Again, yeah. Would you consider it abuse to take, let's say, a 16-year-old boy and tell him to stick his hand in a mound of fire ants, or to tie a bag with fire ants on his hands as a way of testing his masculinity? No? You think that's abuse, right? Well, guess what? That's a rite of passage in other cultures. And if you go over there and try to tell them that's abuse, they're going to fucking, well, I don't know, maybe shoot an arrow at you or some shit, a spear, I don't fucking know, but they're gonna tell you something. They're gonna be like, how about you fuck off, in their own language? I don't know, I don't speak those languages. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the point. It's culture. It's culture. In other cultures, they put rings around the neck of young girls to extend their neck so much to the point that if they were to take off their rings, their neck no longer has enough support to keep their head up and keep it from getting injured. This is their culture. You call it abuse, they call it beauty. So just because the Kardashians don't live on another continent, I don't see why we can't respect their individuality any differently than we respect other cultures that we may not partake in, we may not agree with or subscribe to, but we respect it for what it is. These people, these elites, these famous people who live in Hollywood, this is their culture. This is who they are. I mean, most of the men listening to this who live in America, statistically, more than likely, if you ever have a son, while that child is an infant, just entered into the world, you are going to consent to a doctor taking a surgical knife and disfiguring his penis. This is also known as a circumcision, right? You're going to consent to that. And anybody who tries to stop you, tell you it's abuse, you're going to tell them, how about you go kick rocks, you fucking, foreskin haver, It's probably what you're going to say or something like that, right? You wouldn't consider it abuse? You don't think it's abuse to literally slice off a part of a baby's body without their consent? Ugh. If it was the tip of their toe, you would think it's abuse, but because it's their penis, it's okay. That's called culture, right? Okay.
Childhood that nobody really like. It's like you can see a literal 13-year-old pop out with a short ass skirt, fishnets, piercings, tats, a crop top and heels on as if she's about to hit the club, hit the pole. And people will literally say it's her body, it's not your kid, she can do what she wants, kids experiment. I literally saw a comment, somebody said kids experiment all the time. I'm like, yo, what? Yo, society is cooked now.
Keep in mind, she's only 12 years old.
All right.
And they're saying, is this old enough to be a trendsetter? I don't have kids.
Right.
And
I find that most people who criticize other people online, that's very common. People who don't actually fall into the category of parent telling you how to be a parent. People who aren't married telling you how to navigate a marriage. People who don't own businesses trying to give you financial advice. You know, this is the way of the world. Those who can't teach, those who can't do, they teach, apparently.
I wouldn't know the first thing about raising them. But I do have nieces and nephews.
Okay.
And if one of them at the age of 12 would ask me to do this shit, I'd kind of knock them in the head and say, have you lost your damn mind?
Right. So you would abuse them as a means of stopping themselves from abusing themselves. Did I follow that correctly? Okay.
That shit looks painful. And I have piercings.
Right. That shit looks painful. And so that's why I'm going to knock you in the head. Got it.
I have multiple piercings. I didn't get these shit until I became of age.
All right.
I don't.
And what's of age? I mean, honestly, that's just a subjective thing. If of age is 18, there's nothing special about the age 18. Your brain isn't fully developed at 18. But it's just a number we picked. And so culture adapted to that. And so it does become significant now because what do? We raise our children in such a way with the understanding that around the range of 18, they should have the mindset of something approximating to a young adult, right? However, if we as a culture, as a society said that age was 16, well, then they would be around that place mentally at 16. As it used to be the case for thousands of years. Or if we push it up and make it 21, well, in fucking 50 years, the average 21-year-old is going to be mentally where the average 18-year-old is today, give or take, right? We don't want to take away from the fact that as the brain continues to grow and develop, it does make a difference. And so, yeah, sure, they'll be slightly more mature. But this is what we've done. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing that we no longer are trying to force children to grow up faster, right? I'm not advocating for us to roll back any ages of consent. In fact, we probably need to make all of them higher for everything in all reality. There are a lot of people with tattoos that got them at 18 that really wish that they weren't able to get them till they were 21, because if they did, the tattoo would either be better or not there at all, right? So let's not pretend like there's something magical and mystical that happens at the age of 18. All right, it's just what we've agreed upon as a culture.
I feel like this is trend setting. I feel like you're letting your child just go off rip. Like, just go there.
Yep. I'm just gonna say this is fatherless behavior, bro. And anybody trying to justify this, clearly you've been desensitized and numb to the societal antics and tomfoolery and shenanigans.
Or we're just not fucking in our early 20s and we have children. It's also another thing, but maybe you're right.
That we've been so accustomed to over the years. Like, I get it. You're kind of checked out of society if you're the type of person who thinks that this is okay at 12. Or you're probably so young, like you grew up in a society full of social media. You were an iPad kid.
Again, okay, explain to me why it's okay for us to cut the tips of boys' penises off without their consent when they're infants. Explain that one to me in a way that makes it make sense. There is no logic behind it. The science tells us that men are actually better off if they get to keep all the parts that they were born with, that biology and evolution said, hey, this shit's important. It turns out when you let all of that shit stay intact, you actually have a better experience in life. Oh, well, it's cleaner. You get that's like saying, oh, the reason I got a convertible is so that I don't have to wash the top of my car. It's like, okay, I guess in theory that makes sense, but it's completely unnecessary, and it's not like washing the top of the car is difficult, any more difficult than washing the rest of the car. You still got to wash your dick. You can't just get circumcised and not wash your dick. I know this isn't a video about circumcision, but I just feel like it's a good example. It's a good comparison. Why? Because it is far more traumatic physically, far more of an intensive procedure than a fucking 12-year-old girl getting a dermal in her finger. Yet, you do that to your son, and nobody bats an eye. You let your 12-year-old daughter, who is way more conscious and can give much more consent than a fucking 12-day-year-old baby, a 12-day-year-old or a 12-day-old baby. Yet that's okay, but the 12-year-old shit, you know, that's sick. That's some kind of abuse. Right.
You didn't grow up in a society where things were still normal. You know, adulthood was like distinct from childhood. So if that's you, I get it. But understand, like 20 years ago, this was not normal. Like hell, not even 15 years ago, 10 years ago, this would have been considered crazy. But hey, you know, maybe that's just the society we live in now. Maybe shit's too far gone to even save, bro, because understand she's going to influence a whole bunch of other 12-year-olds out there, 13-year-olds. Yeah,
somebody else. You know, maybe this is just the universe doing what it does, which is ebbing and flowing. Maybe we are returning to a period in human history where we don't infantilize young people for as long as we do. Maybe in the future, in the near future, we treat 12-year-olds with the same level of maturity that you would treat a 16-year-old. And vice versa, and maybe it keeps going up like that. I don't know. Maybe it is, or maybe it's some different variation or evolution. Again, in no way am I advocating for lowering the age of consent for anything sexual. But you know, we don't have to include that in regards to giving children a level of individuality and autonomy that is reminiscent of people from the past. I mean, it used to be normal for children to work on fucking railroads and work in factories. In fact, in most other parts of the world, that is what is expected of young, they wouldn't even be called children. There is no such thing as a teenager in other cultures. In some cultures, you go from being a child to being a man, right? Maybe that's what we're doing as a culture, where we're going. Who knows?
I mean, Kylie got a BBL at 17. Not surprised. I didn't even know Kylie got a BBL, which is a butt augmentation surgery to make your ass fatter. Apparently, she got that at 17.
Wow.
That is crazy. But yeah, I mean, I keep seeing comments from people.
Right, and look how things have turned out so terribly for Kylie, right? Worth hundreds of millions of dollars, can do whatever the fuck she wants, whenever the fuck she wants. Anything about her life that you'd want to criticize as like a negative, well, guess what? You can find a poor person with the exact same problem who didn't get a BBL at 17, right? You can find single mothers who are good Christian women trying their best. Only difference is Kylie Jenner is able to give her, she's going to be able to send her kids to fucking Harvard by just paying, just, you know, building another, donating some money, building a fucking building on the campus of Yale, and her kids are going to go to Yale. You know what this really is? This is just poor people, and I'm including myself in the poor. Compared to these people, the Jenners, the Kardashians, Kanye, all of it. Yeah, we're poor, right? This is just our way of trying to knock the elites down a couple of pegs, right? We know in all the other ways, all the other things that matter, status, power, money, we can never compete for the most part with these people. But morality, if we can find ways that we can say, hey, I may not have as much money as a Kardashian, but I got more morals than a Kardashian. It's our feeble attempt to make ourselves feel better about the fact that there is such an egregious wealth gap between us and the top 1%. I think that's all this is. It's just a coping mechanism to deal with the fact that these people live far better lives than us. just because they're wealthy.
Saying, why do you care? Why do y'all care so much? I mean, I guess we should live in a society full of people who don't give a fuck or care about anything that's going on inside our society or community, and just let it all collapse. Let the slippery slope of degeneracy just like crush us all. Fuck it, right? Let's have a free-for-all. No morals, no nothing. Why does anybody care about anything?
Also, this does not necessitate that you allow your children to get dermals in their fingers when they're 12 years old. Why are we pretending that the actions of an individual, it necessitates that everybody is going to follow accordingly? We got women walking around in booty shorts everywhere. You know, your kids see them. They're on TV. They're at the mall. Are you now going to let your 14-year-old daughter walk around in booty shorts? Probably not. And so if you can stop her, if you can say no to your kids with all these other things that are far more common, that we've been dealing with for generations now, you could probably tell them no to the dermal finger piercing if you feel like that's important or something.
Anymore, bro. Just let it all burn now, right? Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. What do you think about this? Honestly, at this point,
if anything, this is reflective of a real problem we have in society, which is that people don't want to raise their fucking kids anymore, man. People don't want to parent their kids. They want to just put an iPad and an iPhone in their kids' hands. And so because they don't want to communicate with them, talk to them, and actually raise them up, they get mad at the influencers who are actually raising their children and say, hey, can you be a better example for my kids because I can't be bothered to raise my kids myself? That's the real moral of this story. But hey, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of people who, you know, feel very differently. But yeah, that's the video. Till next time. Peace out.